All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode. Sorry that we missed last week. It was kind of hectic. We had just gotten back from PPA Virginia Beach. Then Isaac had to have a wisdom tooth removed.
Yep. I went and booked an oral surgeon appointment. Luckily, they were able to get me in the next day. And then they looked at it and they were like, that's so bad that we're going to have to remove that right now. So, yep, got that removed. And they got me all drugged up yesterday. And, well, it would have been a very interesting pod.
Yeah, for sure. So that's why we're recording this in the middle of the week before you guys see this on Monday, because we will be in Vegas.
Or at least I will.
Isaac will be in Vegas for the next PPA, and then we didn't want to record a solo. So anyways, that's why this whole pod is kind of weird. And anyways, this week, we've got some paddle updates. We want to talk about the Luzz Inferno again, because we actually learned something kind of interesting. This is not going to apply to most of you watching, but we figured there's a couple of you out there who should probably know about it. We have some thoughts on the new Adipower paddles from Adidas. Some really quick thoughts on the Ruby Pro. The new Joola 3S dual certifications out, Friday Fever wide body, the 102, and then there will be spoilers for the upcoming Chasing 5.0 episode. So if you don't want those spoilers and you just want to watch the actual episode, don't listen to that part of the podcast. It'll be clearly marked.
Skip ahead.
And we'll let you know when we get there. And yeah, so let's get right into it. All right. First, question of the week. What paddle are you using and why? Curious what everyone, if there's like a consensus in the comments, and I'd love to know the reason that you landed on that one. Did you have to go through multiple? Let us know.
You know, knowing our audience, they've probably somehow been brainwashed by you to be using these like wide bodies and hybrids and things. But you know, I still have faith in the majority of the market, and that's why most people buy elongated.
Please specify the shape so we can show Isaac that he's wrong.
Well, see, but it's tough because our audience is going to be biased towards your opinion. So they're obviously gonna,
because they know it's the better one.
If they want to be stuck at 3.5 like you.
All right. So first thing, I was just thinking about this morning. This kind of sucks. So obviously fall is starting to hit now. I knew that it was going to suck once we hit fall. It's been raining maybe the last 4 days or so. There's leaves everywhere. The court's wet. Can't go out and hit. Now I'm having to go back to Lifetime. I just played at 6:30 this morning because that's when we could get a court. Dude,
it sucks.
Not being able to just walk in the backyard and hit sucks.
It's just the convenience just being, well, first delayed this summer.
Yeah.
Like, because of all the, again, rain.
Yep.
And then now just being ripped away from us so quickly it's so sad. Why do we live here?
I know. For work, it's just so tough. I'm not even talking for the enjoyment of pickleball, but, that part is great too. But strictly for work, it's so nice to just be able to walk into the backyard, test a paddle, be done.
Well, before we'd like get these paddles in the mail, be like, oh, cool, we have to go test them or hit them. But then we'd have to either pack everything up, book a court, find a public court that's open, and do all that versus like, oh, hey, they came in the mail. Let's walk outside for 2 seconds, just hit some volleys.
Yeah.
Like, it made life so easy.
So yeah, whether the winter's gonna hit different this year. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, just had to complain about that. I know, first world problems, but
exactly.
it sucks. Okay. Luzz updates. So this is an interesting thing. We were looking at the Inferno because Isaac likes the Inferno enough that was planning to use it for qualifier. But the interesting thing about it's like in this weird gray area. So the Inferno is on the UPAA approved website now, and I feel like I have to say this every time. We are only talking about professional PPA play here. We're not talking about amateurs. We're not talking about USAP.
Even if you play PPAs at amateur level, it does not apply to you. If you play rec or anywhere, it does not affect you unless you are playing qualifiers specifically at a PPA event.
Yes.
So I had to get that out of the way.
Yeah, so it's on their approved website. The Inferno is listed on there.
Yeah.
But the models that they are shipping do not have the UPAA stamp on them. And I emailed them and they were like, yeah, eventually we're going to have a batch that has the stamp on them. So then I reached out to Jason, president of UPAA, and asked him, I was like, hey, so what's the deal with this? And my understanding is basically it kind of depends on the ref you get.
So if any of you PPA refs are watching right now, just skip ahead. You don't need to watch this part of the pod. just Just move. I know a couple of you who do watch our pod. Just move along.
So basically, he made it sound like it's up to the ref's discretion. Like,
Yeah.
they can decide, no, it needs the stamp, or they can say it's on the website, but you don't have the stamp, it's fine. So it's kind of this weird gray area where, like, if you were in the middle of a match and the ref decided, like, hey, you can't use this, like, I'm trying to remember. I think you
Forfeit
the match.
You do.
It's if you won the match, they can't retroactively take it back, but if you're in the middle, they could stop you.
I know that happened to somebody.
Yeah, so it's kind of just a weird
But it wasn't
area.
necessarily just for the stamp. He was playing with a paddle that wasn't approved, and then he won the first game. Then they realized mid-match that his paddle wasn't approved, and they forfeited the match for him.
Sure.
So
So yeah, very niche thing. They should have models in the future that have the stamp. Honestly, it shouldn't. It's one of those like weird technicalities where, okay, it's on the approved list, it passed testing, but because it's missing a stamp, like they can care or they cannot care.
yeah,
Kind of weird.
it is kind of annoying because I do plan on using it, and it is.
Well, look, now everyone knows.
Well, I mean, they were gonna know anyways. But I do have the Canon as my backup. I'll have like 2 backups because I'll have a boomstick. I'll have a few paddles just in case.
Sure.
But even if the ref doesn't care, when you bring it in for PPL testing, when you make the main draw,
Hey, whoa. This guy thinks he's making a main draw.
I
or
never said
something?
I was making the main draw. I said when you make the main, not you, but as in just people.
Okay.
But yes, when I make the main draw, it doesn't matter for round of 64 though. This is interesting because they only do testing to round of 32. So even if I do make the main draw, I could make the main draw and still not need the stamp because there's no way I'm winning a first round because I'm playing Ben or Gabe, Fed or Hayden, Riley and Jay. Like I'm not beating those guys. Let's be real. So it doesn't matter what I use. It doesn't matter. If I make the main draw, that I've won my tournament.
Well, you're more bold than me. I would like, even though it's like technically can be fine. I mean, actually, that'd probably be one of those things where you would want to just ask the ref before you start. Because if they don't care and they're like, yeah, it's fine, it's on the website, use it, then you're like, okay, I'm good. But then at least if they were gonna be upset about it, at least you could be like, okay, then I'll use something else.
Yeah.
Rather than being in the middle of the match and then
they
like,
notice.
Yeah, and then they're mad. Granted, they do look at the beginning, but
Yeah.
either way, yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing.
Just silly.
Yeah, it's just kind of silly. So just keep that in mind if you play qualifiers. So next up, the new Adidas paddles. Probably don't really need to set these all on the table, but
Honey mustard yellow.
yeah, I do love honey mustard. So
I mean, look, I love honey mustard, but I don't know if I like that
hey,
color.
look at these.
For
They stand up great.
Okay, I will give Adidas props. Like
Not a lot of companies can figure
the
that
butt
out.
caps have very nice, flat, wide edges that make them stand up quite nice. So even if 99% of the time their paddles have been trash, they've figured out how to get them to stand up.
Okay, so let's talk about these real quick. So
Yeah.
these are their new paddles. They're Gen 3. They're not edgeless. They're a different style of Gen 3. We'll try and flash a picture up on screen, but imagine you took a J2NF concept and then replaced the foam core with polymer. That's basically what you have. Like the foam around the edges is a notched foam.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a slightly different Gen 3 concept than what we've seen before, which is kind of interesting. They are priced at $189. We don't have a discount code, but I believe
It's so funny to me. Sorry to cut you off. It's so funny to me that we'll get into it later, but these, in my opinion, are some of the best paddles they've made.
yeah, no, for sure.
And these are not half the price, but $100 less than their metal bone paddles that are absolute junk.
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny to me. And this ends up being the signature paddle that they make.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
And also still note how that metal bone was never approved.
Exactly. And
the reviewers all called that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, but you can use, I think Rafa 10 will shave 10% off. So if you do plan to pick one up, you can use that code. I don't know if that's for Rafa Hewitt or what, but it works. So yeah, that drops price down to about 170. So here's the thing that we need to talk about with these paddles. I think that I played it this morning. I think it's a good paddle. Genuinely, I think if someone showed up to a tournament and was a good player and used this, I would believe it. Yeah. I think it is. Do I think it's the best out there? No, probably not. But I think it's more than acceptable now. Whereas like the metal bones in the past was like, dude, I don't
I'd be
know.
questioning your sanity if you're willingly choosing to play with a metal bone.
Yeah. These definitely don't feel that way. But I think the thing that's going to hold it back for most people are two things. So the swing weights on these paddles are wild. So if you're going to play with these, you need to be someone who likes heavy swing weights.
Yes.
So the 16 millimeter elongated stock, nothing on it, 126 swing weight, 6.22 twist weight. Just an interesting side note. Oh, also, I believe all the static weights on these are like 8 ounces flat.
Yeah.
So they're not super heavy static
The
weight.
one that I got was 127. And I
That's
think the
crazy.
twist weight was a little higher.
Sure. So 126 swing weight, 6.22 twist weight, which is interesting because I would think with a swing weight that high, it'd be a little bit better, but maybe the foam is just really dense up top, and that's where all the weight's coming from. But anyways, 14 millimeter elongated. 14 millimeter.
The thin one.
123 swing weight. 6.38 twist weight. Don't know how on earth it's more than the 16 millimeter, but sure. And then the wide body, 118 swing weight, 7 twist weight. Also, keep in mind that the 14 millimeter right now is the only one that is dual certified and has a UPAA stamp. Both 16 millimeter models are only USAP.
They have the Xiaomi signature on them, but not the UPA stamp. And then the 14 has the UPA stamp, but not the signature. I just think that's funny.
Yeah, wait a minute. That's really weird. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, what the heck?
It just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, so if you are one of us few UPA A required approved paddle players that play qualifiers, you cannot use either of the 16 models.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because it's not on the website.
Yep. So yeah, these are just very heavy. Like I think they genuinely do play well. I only played the wide body this morning. I didn't play the elongated, but when I was playing with the wide body, other than just certain shots like flicks or rolls being like harder for me because it's just, like I can swing a paddle that's 118. It's not my first choice. Like here's the thing.
118?
Yeah, for the wide body.
Oh, that was what the wide body was,
Yeah.
right? Because
Well, 118 is fine, but I think for a lot of people, because I think my old Genesis was 118, but it wouldn't be my first choice. So it is a little bit heavy. And I thought it played fine. Like sweet spot was pretty good. I felt like it was pretty generous. I think it plays quite different from most Gen 3 paddles. Doesn't have like the super deep thud. It's not quite as stiff as...
You think it's not as stiff?
Not as stiff as like a Thrive Fury.
Oh, sure. Really? These are, in my opinion, on the stiffer end of Gen 3. Like,
I think it is a stiff paddle, but like I didn't hit a Fury this morning, but I feel like that thing is just like...
I don't know. I hit it side by side with the elongated Fury,
Mhm.
and I'd put this above the Fury in stiffness.
Okay.
Like
Well, you hit the Fury more recent than me.
These things felt like a board. Now, I don't mind it. Like, I actually did like how these played. It was very interesting as when I was hitting the ball, when I very first got on court with it, I was hitting some drops, and I always felt like I was making good, clean contact, hitting the center of the paddle, but it didn't feel like it was going to get over the net, and the ball just kept traveling. It was this weird sensation of like, I don't really feel like I'm putting much into it. Not like a boomstick where you just barely tap it and it's launching the ball. It didn't give me that. It felt like it wasn't even going to get close to making it over the net, and they're all perfect. So just very odd. I haven't experienced something like that with a paddle, but I really liked the 16. And we'll get into it more later, but I hate the handle.
I mean, we might as well just get into it now.
I guess. Well, I was going to continue talking about the rest of the stuff, but sure, I'll move on to the handle.
They're very thick.
They're so thick. And Justin from Pickleball Pursuit, he talked about this with the handles, is they don't compress the honeycomb of the core to shape the handle. They leave it at the same thickness as the core. So then when they add the pallets onto it, it's even thicker. And with the 14s, the 14 handle is thinner because the core is thinner. And the 14 handle feels great. I have no issues with that. The 16 feels like a square.
Yeah,
Like
it's really big.
Shaped horribly. And the second you add an overgrip onto it, it's like I'm holding a soda can. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I will say their website lists the 16 millimeter as 4.25 inches, but I went and measured it, and it was 4.5 inches. Yeah. So I would just say if you're someone who does not like a thicker grip, or for any of the women out there that like just prefer having a smaller grip, like this is not
And it's not an octagon. I mean, it tries to be an octagon, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just very big.
If you want to hold a 2x4, then get the 16.
Yeah, like
the
can't do
overall
it.
weights of the paddles don't actually bother me that much because I like heavy paddles. And so I just like the 16, I'd maybe add a teeny bit of weight to it, but probably not much. Like they played fine stock. The 14, I would definitely have to add weight to it. And it felt a little bit more flexy. It almost had like a Gen 1 flex feel to it. Not a lot, just a little bit of a resemblance to it. But yeah, in hands battles, you put a little bit of effort to, they're quite poppy and powerful. So, I mean, they're definitely power paddles. I'd probably put a middle of the road power, like maybe just below a Pro 4 range.
Yeah.
But they're good. Like, yeah, like you said, I would see somebody playing with this and think, yeah, it's legit. Like, they're good paddles.
I think what's like, if you're thinking from a recommendation standpoint, like, it's so tough because, okay, let's say you've got the Canon, dual certified, elongated, $100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think these just do play different, right? Like, I think the Canon hits harder, and not everyone's obviously going to want that. I think these probably feel more dense, like less hollow than something like a Canon, but it just, I guess there's just so few people I could recommend it to because of them being heavy. Now, there are people out there that like that. Your partner for the Vegas qualifier, you literally let him hit these, and he loves heavy paddles. Like, dude's swinging like a rock.
I remember way back, he got a Pulsar R3 and he put, dude, a 2 gram per inch weight, like all the way up from the throat to the sides of the paddle. I mean, this was one of the heaviest paddles I ever felt. It was insane.
I measured one of his recently. It was like 133 or something crazy.
Yeah, and he was like, I love it. I mean, I've played with paddles that heavy, but like this guy loves really, really heavy paddles. And he was going to be playing with a Carbon Genesis. Then I let him hit a Waves and he liked it. But then I was like, you know what? I wasn't even going to bring it, but I was like, Brock really likes heavy paddles. I'll let him try it. And he hit it and he was like, dude, I love this thing. I've never seen him play better.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, looks like my partner's using an Adidas paddle.
Yeah. So, like, all of that to say, I think there are people, one thing people need to understand, like, I feel like when we talk about paddles, is a lot of times we're talking about, like, what will most people enjoy. I
What
think
will please the masses?
there's always paddles that will fit, like, a very niche group of people, or there's going to be someone that's like, dude, this is literally the perfect thing for me, even if the majority of people hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think because these are heavy, it's going to fall into, like, a more niche category. Like, I mean, we haven't seen paddles, 126 swing weight out of the box. We're talking like the OG Joola Hyperion when Joola hit the scene.
Franklin Dynasty level, like heavy paddles.
And guess what? Franklin went the total opposite direction.
They flipped the coin real fast.
But here's what I'll say. I haven't hit the 14, so I don't know. But at least as far as this wide body 16 went, I was like, I didn't really feel like I would add weight to it. Like, it felt fine.
Yeah.
Out of the box. Didn't feel like it needed much. I have to imagine the 16 elongated probably feels similar, but I didn't swing that this morning.
I would agree. I hit the 16 and it, look, you know me. I add weight to everything. I just like paddles overall being heavier.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel like I probably would add much weight to it. Maybe a teeny bit, but honestly, not much. So if you're someone who really doesn't like, if you know you like heavy paddles and you don't like tinkering and adding weight, like this is the polar opposite of like a Quanta or a Vsol, right? You just don't want to deal with it and you like heavy paddles, you'll probably like these.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're starting to figure it out. Looks like they're starting to find a groove here. Maybe, some of the next releases will start like nailing mass market a little bit more. But I mean, look, edgeless, boom.
Hey, what was the other company that did that? Gearbox was trying to go edgeless. Then they put an edge guard on it and actually played good. Like Selkirk, exactly.
Everyone learns this lesson.
They all go through it. They all learn one day. And hey, look, their players who are using these paddles are actually doing pretty well now.
One day someone's finally going to make an amazing edgeless paddle. They're going to clip this pod and be like, boom, edgeless. Someone's
the one time in the last 4 years.
Okay, next thing, Joola 3 has dual certification. Don't have a lot to talk about on these. We don't have these paddles.
Exactly what it sounds like.
As
far as I'm concerned,
I haven't heard anything, but my hunch is that this is literally a 3S that is just dual certified and then dropped the price. So it's $199, UPAA and USAP approved.
Have we ever heard
months.
Any updates on the Joola USAP lawsuit? Was there anything that came out of that?
There's been like minor updates here and there, but
nothing big.
There's no conclusion.
Okay, interesting. Have to keep an eye on that.
I mean, that's really all I have to say about that. I mean, it's probably just a 3S that is cheaper. I think it is nice for Joola to have something kind of in that middle tier option at 200. I think that's like
Smart.
versus always 280. So
Yeah.
look, I'm sure you hate the new design, but
Oh
I
my
was looking at their
gosh, dude.
website. Whoever the creative director was for this, looking at this page, loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Look, the media that they put out was cool. They made some cool content. They made some cool stuff, but it pains me that I'm going to be on the court not only with a Luzz paddle, but with the style that the Inferno is. You will not catch me on court with one of those dual 3S's in my hand.
I hope some company makes a paddle that is the best thing you've ever hit and has a triple gradient on it, quad gradient. Just send it all the way, bro.
No shot.
You probably never would have thought you'd play with something with the design of the Inferno either. But
I
now
mean,
look at
I
that
didn't,
thing.
but I just can't. I don't like it very much. I'm not a fan.
I liked it. I thought it looked great.
Look, and more, if other people like it, that's great. But I'm just stating my opinion. I'm not a fan of it.
All right, well, we have a non-gradient paddle here.
Yay! See, look how much better that looks.
I do think the Ruby Pro looks sick.
Ruby Pro looks great.
I do think it
New
looks
red.
awesome.
It's a slightly different tone of red. I know a lot of you guys don't care about when we talk about the style of paddle, but look, it matters. Okay, it matters.
So, okay, Ruby Pro, we don't have any content on this because the launch date for both the Ruby Pro and the Opal just kept moving. Yeah. I don't know how many times it's been changed.
A lot.
It got to a point where I literally just didn't know when this paddle was coming out anymore. So I just gave up trying to understand when I needed to have content ready. So it's officially out now if you want to go and buy it. And I hit it this morning, and I'll give you some really brief impressions. So it's $225 without a discount code. Problem is, discount codes are now really tricky with 6.0. So they're doing this weird thing where the code is only active for the paddle if you've reviewed it, and they're like undecided whether other content counts. Like
it's unclear what a review is.
Yeah, so I don't think we have a discount code available for this right now. I'm sure there are discount codes floating around. If someone's done a review out there, they probably have a discount code. So just know that we don't have one right now. Eventually, PB Studio will probably work when we work on a video of this, but it's just kind of a weird thing they're doing these days. So let's go over it, though. So it's dual certified, USAP, UPAA, so you can use it everywhere. This is the first paddle, to my knowledge, for the entire core to use 12 millimeter honeycomb cells. 10 millimeter was kind of, the big thing last year, early this year, whatever. So 12 millimeter, those cells are huge.
Massive.
Thickness of the paddle is 14 millimeters. It's still a hybrid shape. Swing weight of our unit was 115, and the twist weight was 6.21, which is like oddly low for at a 115 swing weight. Like usually their hybrid shape has been better in the past, like 6, I guess, but it's a 14.
I was going to say
I take
14
that back.
out of 16.
But then 115 is kind of high for a 14 too. So anyways, doesn't really matter, but 115 swing weight and 6.21 twist weight. And then there's a handful of newer technologies that they've implemented in this. This is kind of some of the stuff they had been working on that we got to see when I went to China. So the first one, which we've talked about before, and probably the biggest deal with this paddle that I think everyone's going to talk about, is the diamond tough texture. 6.0 is claiming around 4 times longer lasting. And what I think is interesting about this, and I've asked them, I talked about this before, but I asked them for clarification. They claim it is literal industrial diamonds mixed into the epoxy of the peel ply. I asked if it was literal diamond. They said yes. So
this is their words, not ours.
So if somehow we find out it's not diamonds one day, wasn't on me.
Just bring your pitchforks and torches to 6.0, not us.
Yeah. So anyways, but the concept of and how they've explained it so far is really interesting. I think if you look at something like Infinigrit, which has been really hard to test, I think I'm going to do one final spin test on my boomstick and see where the RPMs landed after about a month of use, because eventually my edge guard came loose and it made it harder to want to keep using that specific unit. Mm-hmm. So hopefully soon I'll be able to give you guys kind of an update on where the boomstick, at least after, I don't know how many hours I had on it, 60, 70 hours maybe, how it's looking. But with this, I just think because it's like the more traditional peel ply texture and doesn't feel like paint grit, people's perception of it will probably be better. I feel like even though Infinigrit claims to last longer, it still feels like paint grit, and that is usually associated with not great.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
well, it's just had such a negative reputation in the past that it's
Exactly.
hard for people to get over, even if it is really good.
Yes.
It's hard for people to get over that.
So I feel like there'll be less of a hurdle with this. But basically, yeah, they're just claiming that with the diamonds mixed in there, it's supposed to be harder and it shouldn't break down as easily. So I'm very eager to test that if that holds up. I mean, everyone's been saying for a while, if longer texture, longer cores, we've kind of got the core figured out, at least for amateurs. Pros, I don't think we're ever going to figure it out, but texture.
The only thing that I'm curious about is, so with typical peel ply, it's the peaks and valleys of the epoxy that's wearing down, right? So the actual epoxy itself is the durability of that material is the issue. If you add in a harder material, it won't break down as much, but it's still being held in by epoxy that's breaking down. So wouldn't, in theory, the epoxy can break and the diamonds can come out and fall out, so then you're still losing texture?
I don't really know. They kind of gave like some analogies when we were in China that I can't really remember. One of them was like a concrete analogy, and then there was like one other one that it's just been so long now I can't remember. They had answers for some of that.
Like, I imagine right away it's going to feel amazing, which, I mean, we've both hit them. The spin is great on these, but I'm just curious if it'll actually last.
Here's the thing. I think one thing people need to understand with like all of these grit textures, which is funny because Selkirk's is called Infinite Grit, but like it's not gonna last forever or be infinity. It'll wear down. It's just meant to be slower.
Yes.
So that's, what we'll have to test. I'll probably just have to find someone here who like wants to beat one of these up and run some spin tests. But anyways, so the Diamond Tough texture, really excited about that. I think that's a big deal. Then they do have what they're calling their power gel, which is like a gel layer between the core and the face sheet, which my understanding of them having that, because I think the Opal is using that too, is that basically they can kind of tweak power a bit with that. Like they can add some like different feel and power with that gel layer, which is kind of cool. Haven't seen anyone do that. And then a little less exciting to me, but they do have what they're calling their shock shield, which I believe is like 3 drilled holes like in this grip, and then there's a silicone insert placed in there to dampen vibrations. Whether that actually works or doesn't work, I don't know, because I've never hit one without it. So you would need like a version without shock shield and one with to know how big of much it helps.
Yeah.
It might help. I don't know that, but it's in there. So, okay, that's most of the new textures. They did also do some stuff with the carbon fiber layers, kind of like the C45, where it's all at 45 degrees. Instead of like 90. So there is that. Okay, let's talk about this. So my experience with it this morning was, it reminded me a lot of the older Ruby in that sweet spot is a little bit smaller and the paddle feels a little bit like flexy, which is not personally my favorite feel. But I do think that if you liked the old Ruby 14, this is probably just going to feel like an upgrade in just about every single way. I think you get a boost in pop and power, but you're not going overboard. You're not talking about some of these foam paddles. You're not like in the territory of the Quanta. So for those of you who either one, didn't want to hop into foam and you just kind of liked the feel of like some of these Gen 2 paddles from before, you're basically getting that in the Ruby Pro upgraded a little bit. And then hopefully it pans out, but with a more durable texture is kind of how I see it. So for me, playing at stock, I would definitely have to add some weight. And I think at the swing weight it would be, I guess, just a little bit annoying because it'll just be kind of heavy for what a hybrid is at that point after having to add weight. But I would say it played just fine. Personally, not for me, but it's not bad. It is an upgrade from the old one.
I have hit paddles with this texture, and I remember the first time I went out on court with a group with Diamond Tough texture on a paddle, every single person was commenting about how much shape I was putting on the ball. Like, it does in fact spin the ball very well, but that was when it was brand new. I can't say for, I don't know how long I had used it, maybe 10, 15 hours ish. So not a super long time, but I never felt a noticeable drop off. I mean, I'll just say this. If I could just copy paste and take this off a paddle and put it on whatever I'm using, I would.
I think that if it really pans out, I think that'll be one of the strongest potential things for them moving forward.
It's the biggest reason to buy one of these paddles, in my opinion.
And I really appreciate that they are putting it in multiple paddles. So I believe it's already kind of like been announced out there, but like they will have the Opal, which will have it. They'll have the Ruby Pro, and then they'll have the Coral, which Coral is coming out like sometime later this year. But that's like another foam core option that will also have it at a cheaper price. So I like that they're not gatekeeping this at just like the highest tier paddle, because I think this is just how paddles are, right? Every person has like a different set of needs, and it would really suck if the needs that you want is on the cheaper paddle that then doesn't have the longer lasting texture.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, because I think a lot of companies would just gatekeep that behind, oh, it's our
Their premium price wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love to see that. I think that's great.
I think that is a smart decision. I think that opens it up to a lot more people, and it's just a smart decision.
And I think too, with the pricing that they are going to be doing on all 3 models, and I don't know if it's all been officially released yet, so I don't know if I can say it, but I'm glad to see that with how long they've been sitting on some stuff and the stuff they've been working on, that they're not going way overboard with the pricing. Like 6.0 started pretty cheap. They've definitely gone up in price, but definitely not at the same rate that everyone else has went up in price. So if you're talking about adding things like this longer lasting texture, and you didn't go as high as some of your competitors, $280, $300, that's awesome.
I still don't like $220 for the Ruby Pro or $225. Oh,
that's probably, what is that? That's going to be like $200 after a code?
Yeah. I think it's a solid paddle, but there's just, at this point, the market's so competitive. The only thing that would get me to spend that much is for the texture, and I just don't know if I would like the paddle that much to pay that premium just for the texture.
Sure.
You know, where, okay, like imagine, let's just grab the Canon, because there's a few $100 paddles around. One of these or 2 Canons where I can just swap back and forth and keep the grit, lasting longer. I'd probably lean towards 2 Canons, to be honest. So it's just, I don't know, $225 seems a little high.
I think it's all going to come down to how long that really lasts. I think if it's truly 4 times longer or longer, that'd be pretty huge.
I mean, there are other downsides to, like some people just like 6.0 or following a brand
or even just some of the older style paddles.
That too. But I mean, there are other Gen 2 feeling paddles that are $100 now. So I don't know. Nowadays, it feels tough to spend that much money on this style of paddle.
I do think, I definitely agree. I think this just feels like it's pretty late to the market to where everything has moved, particularly with
if this came out 5 months ago, wow.
Sure.
Great. Sure. But it just feels, like you said, a little late.
Yeah. So,
but again, there's going to be people that like it, so I'm not saying it's a bad paddle.
Yeah.
And if this fits all your needs, then that's great. But I just think that there's a lot of really good options out there right now that are cheaper.
I completely agree. The $100 market, which is actually, we're about to get to another $100 paddle. It's weird. It felt like it was like stagnant for a long time. You kind of had the Vatic Pro Prism and the Jelly Bean, and those were just kind of it.
Yeah.
And now I feel like this year it just like went bananas.
Every company was trying to throw out a $100 paddle.
So let's
which
talk
is a good thing.
So the next one on the list, Ruby Pro.
Bye-bye. Well, I won't have much to say about this.
Because you haven't hit it?
No, because it's wide body. No,
Jeez. We have the resident wide body expert here to tell you about it. Okay, so Friday Fever, this should be out by the time you hear this podcast. It's the Friday Fever 102 is what they're calling it. It'll be priced at $99. I believe code PB Studio will shave off like $5 on that. Specs, swing weight, 111. Twist weight, 6.71. We're going to come back to that. Shape is only a wide body. 10 millimeter honeycomb cells. It's a Gen 3 style paddle. I believe it's like the half U shape, just like Joola made.
Is it 2 types of foam?
I want to say, based on the graphic, that it's thermoformed. It's like just like a Gen 3.
Yeah, okay, that's
like
what I thought.
Thermoform and then the EVA.
Yep.
So they did do something different where they have this rubber that goes around the entire perimeter of the paddle to like boost stability in the sweet spot.
Sure.
The only thing that I find interesting about that, now maybe there could be some other impacts such as like vibration dampening, maybe the rubber absorbs some of that, which could be interesting. But at least just looking at the twist weight, like, I mean, if you take the Loco, for example, it's like the same exact swing weight as this, but it has like a 7.3 twist weight. So it's like 0.6 higher than this, and it doesn't do the rubber ring. So like to me, my first thought is, okay, you added the rubber to increase the stability and probably try and boost the twist weight, but it didn't actually boost the twist weight. So I don't know if it did its job. But again, there could be other things that it's doing that make it better. Like maybe without it, maybe the paddle feels kind of like vibraty or jarring or something. So
Sure.
I just thought that was interesting. Seems to hit harder than the original Friday Fever. I didn't get to hit it side by side, so it's been months since I've hit it. I wouldn't say it was by a big margin. I'd still kind of put this in like the upper all court category. Didn't feel like a super juiced power paddle. I didn't feel like I was like, oh man, I just can't put a ball away. But when I did this morning go from the Friday back to my Loco, I was like, oh okay.
So you're going from top of power to like top of all court.
Yeah,
it was a pretty big jump.
Yeah, it was a pretty big jump. So it was, there's definitely a big difference. So that's why I would probably say upper all court for the Friday Fever 102.
I could see that.
I think overall my impression was for $100 it's a very solid paddle, but it doesn't do anything. It's just another option is kind of what I would say. Like for my playstyle, probably not the paddle I would use. I would probably still add a little bit more weight just to get a little bit more plow through on the paddle. But there was nothing wrong with it.
Sure.
Like it was a perfectly fine paddle. I just think, let's start naming off some of the options for $100 paddles that you have, or cheaper. You have that Ace Gen 3 paddle we talked about a couple weeks ago. You've got the Vatic Prism Flash. You've got the Jelly Bean. You've got the Quanta. You've got two versions of a V-Sole.
Cannon.
And you obviously have the original Friday Fever that was in an elongated, and I'm
sure we're
guarantee you I'm missing at minimum one other. But I think with all those options, I'm just like, I feel like I'd push people towards like one of those other ones. You want super high power if you add some weight, Quanta. You want different types of feel with a ton of different shape options, Vatic Pro. You could get the V-Sole Power, which is going to be a little bit more dense, a little bit more muted, or you could get the V-Sole Pro, which is a little bit more Gen 3-esque. If you want a control paddle, Jelly Bean and Prism.
This is really the only actual Gen 3 style paddle that comes in wide body though, right? Because the other ones are either full foam core.
Yep.
And, sure, they hit hard, but it's a different sensation and, feel preference. So
Sure.
I guess that is the one, like, say Cannon is probably the closest comparison in construction.
Yeah, though they do feel quite different. The Cannon is definitely more juice.
Cannon hits way harder, right? It's way more juice, but they're similar feels in the matter of they're both Gen 3 style paddles.
Yeah.
But the Cannon only comes in elongated. So if you are someone who's really specific towards wide bodies,
sure,
then this does fit that niche in the $100 market. So it does have a place, but I wouldn't push it towards everybody.
Yeah. Like to me, I don't, especially because I think the feel of it is not maybe as similar to like other Gen 3s that we've seen on the market. I'd say it's probably a little bit more dense, a little less hollow feeling than some of the other Gen 3s.
Yeah.
I just think that I look at it and go, what do you do better than like some of the other foam core options? It's not that it does anything way worse, except maybe power, but not everyone needs top end power.
Exactly. I don't think it necessarily is doing anything better or worse. It's just different. Yeah. Like it just, if you know your specific feel preference and you want a wide body and maybe you don't want to put weight on a paddle, whereas you buy a Quanta or a V-Sole, more than likely you're going to want to be putting weight on it, then I'd probably say buy a Friday Fever 102.
It's one of those things where, and actually I want to do some videos like this, and I'm so bummed we didn't do this with my mixed partner. So recently, we should have filmed this. It would have made such a good
When I showed
video.
up later, I was shocked that there were no cameras set up.
Yeah, I feel pretty dumb for not filming this. But my mixed partner had been playing with a Franklin C45, and I was just telling her, I was like, I feel like you should just try some other paddles. Like, I think you would probably like them. I think we could find something that fixes some of the problems you have with the C45, but retains the things that you do like about it. So I grabbed, maybe 10 paddles. I asked her, hey, what are your preferences for certain things? She said the paddle needed to be light or like lower swing weight, needed to have a longer handle. And then the last one was a bit of a feel preference thing, but it's funny. Sometimes people say they want a certain thing, but then they actually,
Mean
you can
something
convince
else.
them with something else. So I grabbed like 10 paddles. I'm going to try and remember them off the top of my head. I grabbed the Loco, the Quanta, the Vsol Pro, the 11624 Alpha Pro Power,
Harmony.
the Ruby Pro. No, not the Harmony.
I could have swore the Harmony was there.
No Harmony. It wouldn't have hit hard enough. The Ruby Pro was in there. Chorus, Phoenix, and I think the Holbrook Arma. And so I did ones that I was like quite confident she would like, and then ones that I was like, maybe, based on some other stuff she said. I was like, you might like this. The list got whittled down pretty quickly. The top 2 paddles ended up being the Quanta from Ronbus and the Bread and Butter Loco. Those were the top 2. The ones that I believe she put down pretty much immediately were the Holbrook Arma, the 11624 Alpha Pro Power, the Chorus Phoenix, and then I can't remember exactly what was in the maybe pile. But anyways, doesn't really matter. It just would have made a great video because what I want people to understand about paddle selection is that, we were alluding to this earlier, is that there's not really a right or a wrong. There's just options that like fill for certain people. So while I'm like maybe not raving about this Friday Fever, there is context when people come to me and say, hey, I need a recommendation. I'm looking for this. Where like a Friday Fever might slot perfectly into that, right? And so just like when I was picking paddles for me, I was like, okay, here's kind of what you're telling me you want. I've got a lot of options that I think will kind of fit this, and then you can whittle it down from these options. So that's kind of why I wanted to tell that story. She did end up landing on the Rhombus Quanta. She actually really liked the Loco. I think she liked how the Loco felt more, but for her, it was a little too heavy. She wanted something that was lower static weight and lower swing weight. So that's how she ended up on the Quanta. But yeah, both super solid paddles. But I think people just would have found it fascinating to see someone go through like a paddle fitting process. Like, they said they wanted this, but they actually kind of liked this, just.
It was very much, if anyone listening golfs, which I'm sure plenty of you do, it was very much like a club fitting session, but for pickleball, which I've always said should kind of be a thing.
Totally. So, okay, let's move on to, I guess, our last topic here, which is PPA Virginia. So, as many of you know, we've been doing the Chasing 5-0 series.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers coming. So if you don't want those spoilers, turn it off now. I'll give you like 5 more seconds while I talk really slowly.
We'll get this paddle out of here.
Oh yeah, I guess we don't need the paddle up on the table anymore. Okay, that's enough time. So PPA Virginia, this was the first PPA. This is actually the first PPA I've played all year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because normally by this point I've been do a bunch.
Right.
This year was just kind of crazy. But so we have till the end of the year to hit 5-0, and this was the first PPA. So
yeah, so let us know how that's going for you.
Well, I'll know when we'll get there.
Let me just pull up an app, take a look at something real quick.
Don't say it yet, because
I'm not gonna say.
we got to tell the stories first.
That I can't see it.
Okay, so just about everything that could have went wrong for this tournament went wrong. Let's start with that.
Yeah, no
Everything
kidding.
that went wrong, could have went wrong, went wrong.
100%.
So the first thing that went wrong, also because I'm sure people will be curious, I did use a Loco for this tournament as my main. I know someone will probably ask, so that's what I used. Okay. So starting off with men's day, got in on Friday, about Friday afternoon, 4 p.m. You and I went and checked out the venue for some filming stuff, and then my men's partner was supposed to land at midnight.
This is when everything went downhill.
Yeah, supposed to land at midnight. He's texting me like before I'm getting ready for bed, and he's like, "Hey, just a heads up, my flight's not landing till 2:30 a.m. now. No problem." He was just going to Uber to the Airbnb. And so I was like, okay, I mean, that sucks. You're going to get less sleep. You're going to get like 4 hours of sleep, maybe. But whatever, it'll be fine. Then,
especially because the start time got pushed up.
Yeah, so we were supposed to play at 9 a.m., but the weather was going to be bad the weekend, so they bumped our start time up to 8 a.m. just to make sure play got in. Well, I wake up, and I leave my room, and I see that his door is open and the lights are on, and then I check my phone, and I have a text that says, dude, I'm really sorry, but I got delayed all the way until 8 a.m. And so I'm sitting there like, oh, geez. Like, okay, that's our start time. I'm like, we're going to have to go pick him up. Like, there's no way he's going to Uber and get here in time. Like, it'll be better if we're just at the airport and then we go straight there.
Yep.
So starting off the day, I knew we were going to be late and we had to drop out of the bracket match. And so had to forfeit that one. and then immediately into the back draw. So we go pick him up at the airport, go straight to the venue, warm up as quick as we can, and then get thrown into our first match for the back draw. And thankfully, we did win that one. We won 15-7. So that was, a fine win. But like, I could tell Matt was like, he's like literally stretching in the game. Like he's, he was not fully ready to go yet.
Yeah.
And he only got like an hour and a half of sleep.
Gosh.
Like it was about as bad as it could get. So that really sucked. Also, American Airlines.
Oh,
I'm never going to get a sponsorship from them after what I'm about to say.
I don't think we ever want a sponsorship from American Airlines.
American Airlines is who he flew, got the delay. The only other time I've flown American had a massive delay that was even worse than his. It was like a 14-hour delay.
Yeah.
And so I'm never flying American Airlines again. That's all the proof I needed.
You having that issue and then hearing about his, the only two stories I need to hear for me to never book an American Airlines flight ever.
Delta for
I think
the
I'd
win.
rather fly. Well, I got beef with Delta, but that's just who we fly. I'd rather fly Spirit than American.
Oh, sure. I thought you were saying over Delta.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Over American for sure.
It's probably still not actually better, but the few times that I've seen American, they've dropped the ball pretty hard.
Yeah.
So, okay. Got sent to the back draw and then won the first match 15-7. And then we ended up losing our second match 11-15. Now, this match was really unfortunate because I've got this bad problem I need to fix in tournaments where the very first point, I had like a sitter of a ball. It wasn't an overhead, but it was high enough that it's a put away, and I just like rolled it deep. I was like, well, shoot. And then, maybe I had a couple like normal, just weird misses that I probably shouldn't have missed early. So then I just started playing really conservative because it was like, okay, I got to stop missing. We, at the switch, what was it, like 1-8? And then they get up 1-10. And I was just like, dude, just play the game. Like, why are you playing so bad? And our opponents were great. Not to take anything away from them. They were genuinely very good players. But the second half of the match, I eventually was just like, okay, dude, if you're going to lose, at least lose. Actually, Mia said this during the tournament, and I really liked how she phrased it. It's better to lose playing the right way than to lose playing the wrong way and like reinforce bad habits. So I was like, okay, we're actually going to swing on our force. If I get an overhead, I'm not just going to like baby the ball and put it in the court. And then we just had a huge comeback. We got all the way, what did we get to? Like 11-14, I think. Like we basically caught up to them. Then they had a bit of a run to get to 14. We had a bunch of side outs back and forth. And then they eventually ended up closing it out. But I felt good that in the second half, we managed to actually improve our level of play and figure out what we should have been doing the whole time. I think if we had realized our strategy earlier in the match, I think we could have won that match. To me, it was such a bummer that we picked up on it so late. But, losing 11-15 feels a lot better than losing what was looking like it was about to be 1-15.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, dang, maybe I don't belong in a 5-0 bracket if I'm going to get creamed this bad. But it was a good reminder that if I actually can remind myself to play loose and like play free, I just play so much better.
Yeah. Right.
So that was, men's. It really sucked.
That first match, you got a nice double pickle.
Dude, okay, so this. Yeah, we'll talk about this story. So forfeits apparently aren't supposed to count towards duper, so I don't know if the PPA entered it wrong, because in the bracket it's entered right. It's entered as a forfeit.
Yeah.
And I was told that duper doesn't enter those, and I'm like, well, it's showing a double pickle on my account, and it dropped me 0.12. So I went from like a 4.73 to a 4.61. So I was like, I'm not real pumped about that.
Yeah.
So I did email duper. I haven't heard back yet.
Well, and your partner you played with, he's the, I believe, general manager at a facility locally here, and he has ran a few big tournaments. And
the biggest that's ever been held here.
The biggest tournament here in Minnesota. And he said that if that happens, it will get removed later from duper. He was very confident that won't stick.
Yeah. So, because I was like, bro, you're going to tell me I didn't even show up to play a match and I let you know I wasn't showing up and this gets put in duper? I'm like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how this works, bro.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll see where my duper actually is after this whole thing. But, yeah, having a forfeit and I didn't even play and it drops me, I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, starting the series on hard mode.
I was out there like, first PPA of the year. Let's see how low we can drop this guy. He didn't show up. And someone at the tournament desk was like, hey, I heard this guy's trying to hit 5-0. enter that as a double pickle.
I paid them off. Little do you know, I paid them.
Bro, no. Okay, so anyways, that was Men's Day. Really appreciate Matt playing with me. I wish I could have played better for that second half and figured things out a little bit better. But he was a great partner. We had never played together. Super easy to play with. Like, he's very easy to get along with. I feel like he's pretty similar personality to me, both on court and off the court. He's very sarcastic like I am, so that is a good combo.
Yeah, having him on the trip was very easy. Great to have around. I've traveled with people that are not easy to get along with and be around, and so it's nice when you do have somebody that's just chill. And
you know what I think really stood out to me about Matt is that, and this is kind of a theme throughout the trip, which we'll come back to later, is that his ability to be in a good mindset despite missing the bracket match when he only flew in to play men's. The only event he's coming in was to play men's. So he misses the bracket match. He gets an hour and a half of sleep and still shows up and wasn't like...
And crappy weather.
And he's not like angry while he's there.
Like, usually you pick one of those things and it would set someone off.
Yeah.
So being able to deal with all of those things and still be in a pretty good mood for the whole trip, it's nice. Yeah. So appreciate you.
I thought he was a great partner. So I would run it back again.
If it wasn't for those dang canes that he wears. For anyone that is curious about those, just look up Canes. Sorry, I was looking at a camera making sure that everything was working. Look up Canes shoes and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we make fun of him for it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like Crocs that are always in sport mode.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways.
So, all right, mixed day. Let's talk about this. So first thing we need to talk about with this, because, things, of course, kept going wrong.
Of course.
My mixed partner, Mia, she gets in Friday. Her flight was delayed, but only like 2 hours with her husband.
Wasn't too bad.
Her husband had gotten sick earlier that week. Like Monday before the tournament, he gets sick. And then, she's not sick Tuesday. She's not sick Wednesday. She's not sick Thursday. I'm like, no, she's going to get sick. I know how this goes. As someone who's married, it always lags behind a couple days. So, of course, Friday, she gets sick on the way in. Now, thankfully, it wasn't horrible. She was mostly just congested. There was no like body aches. It was just kind of like a lot of pressure in her head. It was hard to hear, which, isn't ideal, but at least it wasn't like a fever and she's like, oh, I can't play, but just keep stacking it on the things that weren't going well,
Exactly.
So mixed day, the whole day during men's, everyone's getting like texts on their phone from their flights like, hey, there's a coastal flood warning. Your flight out on Monday might get impacted by this. And then the weather or the radar is like, 100% coverage of rain. It's going to rain all day tomorrow. 30-mile-an-hour constant winds, 50-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah, there was like 10, 12-foot waves. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, it was bad weather, to say the least. And for those of you who maybe don't know wind as that well or pay attention to how high a wind is, people will complain about pickleball in like 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. So now imagine constant is triple or double that. And then the gusts are 5 times that.
Yeah.
Like it was horrible.
It was to the point where it got so windy. Like I could feel it pushing me around a little bit. And I legitimately saw, I say little girl, she was probably 13 or 14 or something, practically almost get completely blown over. So he was like leaning on one foot, falling over because the wind was so insane.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It was bad. I am not exaggerating when I say that is the most unplayable pickleball conditions I have ever played in, because you would never out of your own will choose to go play in that.
Yeah. We should find a clip. We were getting some clips of like the trees and stuff blowing around. We should put it.
I have clips of Mia returning a ball and it hitting the side fence.
Exactly.
It was going to land in the middle of the court and then it blew.
Yeah, we should put that in the pod.
Yeah, 90 degrees sideways. It was insane. So the wind was terrible. And then the morning of, they delayed the start because it was raining.
Yep.
So we went from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That delays from 11 to 12. It's like, okay, whatever. We're getting food. And then come 12, the weather clears up a bit. It's not raining anymore, but it's still crazy windy.
Yep.
So we show up. Courts are still, they're like dry-ish, mostly dry, but there's still some wet spots. We're warming up. Ball is bananas. I mean, I had a little body cam on, but I wish I had like a camera on the side so you guys could see how much the ball was actually moving. But there would be times where she would dink it to my backhand, like far backhand, and it would literally blow around to my forehand that I'm like stretch reached for. Mm-hmm. It was insane. So in the warm-up, I was like, this is a joke. I was like, this is this can't be real.
It's not even pickleball.
Yeah, it's not pickleball at all. So anyways, let's just go through the matches. Match 1, we had a bye. We were in the quarterfinals. People had to play into the quarterfinals. We watched that team. We kind of formed a strategy going in for whichever team we were going to have to play. And looking at this team, we felt pretty good going in. And we started down real bad. We started down 0-6. We're getting destroyed. And not even because our strategy wasn't working. It's just because the wind, there was 3 sets of courts. One set of courts, which was a ton of them, really bad. Like the most unplayable pickleball you've ever played. The courts we played our first match on were bad, but not terrible. Yeah. I would say it was like 50% skill, 50% weather. Whereas the really bad courts, it was like 90% weather, 10% skill.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah, you're literally gambling. And then there was a third set of courts, which was actually good. It was very well insulated from wind, and those were pretty good. But anyways, we started down 0-6, not because the strategy wasn't working, but to me, it just felt like the wind was just enough of a factor that you'd reach in for a ball, and either it would blow out of your reach, and now you had to take it off the bounce, or you're about to strike it, and all of a sudden it moves suddenly, and then you're shanking it. And so we were just missing balls that you wouldn't routinely miss without weather. And, it was just like, what do we do? Like, we just got to make balls. Like, we're not even making balls right now. And so we took a timeout, and then we're like, okay, look, just give yourself a tiny bit more margin, plan for it. And then we just started, our strategy worked great. Everything we wanted to do, executed great. We go up from like 0-6 to like 9-6. Like, we're killing it at this point. And I was like, okay, we've got it. And then, a couple easy putaways that I think I missed in the net or I missed out with the wind. And then I'm just kind of rattled. And then somehow they rifle all the way back, 11-9.
Yep. And
I'd say relatively tilted just because I was like, we had that. Like, I felt like we were fully in control of that match. And then what to me was annoying was that things outside of my control felt like they were dictating my skill level here. So it was just kind of frustrating to be like, there's nothing I can do, and that's why it sucked, because there's nothing I can do.
Yep.
But that's tournaments, right? There's a lot of things you can't control. So second match, I think it just kind of started out like the first one, but even worse. It felt like we were just shanking a lot of easy balls, mostly me. When I say we, I mean me. And like, Mia really was not struggling that bad, like maybe occasionally like a return or something, but like it didn't matter if I had an overhead, a net height ball, a slightly above net height ball, or if the ball bounced. It's like I couldn't put it where I wanted, and I would just hit the net. It was ridiculous. While I felt like I was trying my hardest, it sure didn't look like it out there. I would say it's the worst pickleball I've played in over a year.
Yeah, it didn't look great. From my vantage point when I was filming, usually I have to pay attention to a few other things, and I'm not really able to like see what's going on in the match while filming, but I could tell it was not pretty. It looked pretty rough.
It was, it was to the point where I would take a timeout and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to fix this because the wind is obviously a variable, but like, even let's take that out. I was just like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to hit this and I just can't. And so, I don't know. Mia was very patient with me, which was nice to have as a partner. I think all the partners I've had, Matt, who came on the trip, Sergey, who I normally play with, and Mia, they're all very patient people, and I really appreciate that because I think in that match, that was the match that if anyone was ever going to be mad at their partner and just be like, dude, all I need you to do is put the ball in play. I don't even need you to do anything crazy.
Get it over the net.
Just put it over the net. That was if anyone was ever going to be mad, it was that match.
Yeah.
And she still wasn't mad. So I was like, okay, like, I really appreciate that. Thank you. But I was just like, dude, like, and for example, it started going so bad that I was like, we're going to lose this match if we don't change something up. So I was like, we need to just stack Mia on the left. Mia can play the left. She's very competent at it. So I was like, let's just try this. And then I think it might have been the first point. Mia like tees up a drive. It's great. And I'm like, I'm going to crash this ball. I'm like, I see it in the middle. And I'm like, I'm going to.
I see it now.
Yeah, I see it now. And I come to crush a backhand. And I think because Mia just got put on the left, I just told her, hey, I suck at pickleball. Can you play the left and push me off the court? And then my monkey brain comes over and is like, I'm going to hit this ball. So we both swing, shank it, hit it in the net. And I'm just sitting there like, you dummy. You literally just did this so that you could touch the ball less. And then you went and touched the ball.
Yep. You see the shiny object.
And I was like, I'm going to hit it. And Yeah, so that was really frustrating just for me to play so poorly.
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of trying, but it's just embarrassing, right? Like I don't think, like, I feel like I'm not exaggerating here when I say this. I'll have to go watch it back. You'll all see it in the Chasing 5 episode. I genuinely don't believe that my skill level was any higher than 4-0 in that match.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch it closer. I mean, it wasn't good.
It was bad.
It was bad.
I mean, it was another, like,
Not
holy crap, dude, if you're going to play this bad in 5-0, like, yeah, maybe you should pick a new bracket.
basically this whole tournament, that whole weekend was just mental strengthening.
It was something. It was something. So, okay, we lost the first match. We go into the back draw, which was definitely a bummer, just because to me, that match felt like if we played that in normal conditions, I felt like we win that match fine. Not because they weren't good or anything, but it just felt like, dude.
You could have actually played.
Yeah, could have actually played instead of the weather playing us.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, go to the second match. We get put on the really bad courts, and the wind is disgusting. So we start this match off, and we picked a side. Like, Mia just said, hey, let's start on this side. And I was like, okay, cool. And we're killing it. I was like, man, we are unstoppable. I was like, it doesn't even matter what this wind is. We are. I mean, it was still annoying, trust me, but it was like, the wind is clearly helping us out right now. I think we went up 10-3, 8-3 at the switch. And then
I do remember hearing the score, and I was like, oh, geez, that's crazy.
I was like, we're stomping them. This is awesome. Sick. Switch sides. Woo! Let me tell you, they were on the hard side to start, and we did not like that side very much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, we'll go, when I edit, I'll find out for sure. I'm pretty sure that me and I collectively missed 6 serves. We had a double fault side out where both of us missed our serve because...
Twice,
yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You would literally serve the ball, and the wind would just take it straight into the ground.
Yep.
I mean, like, I literally actually think on the microphone you hear me say this, but Mia missed hers. Like, we had probably missed a couple serves at this point, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to get this one over the net. Like, I'm going to hit it higher. Boom, straight in the net. And I just start laughing because I'm like, what are you supposed to do?
Watching, I was like, this is hard to watch.
Mia, when we were on the bad side, hits a return. It's going to land middle of the box. And it literally blows not quite 90 degrees left, but it just... Boom,
it put its turn signal on, and it yanked the wheel over. I mean, it went straight into the fence.
Like
it was
the
wild.
side fence, not the back fence.
Yeah, not the back fence, the side fence. It was going to be middle of the box. No, not even middle of the box, middle of the court, and it just took a turn.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It was ridiculous. So, I mean, at this point...
Watching y'all's thirds was rough.
I mean, it was like if you tried to baby it, boom, it wasn't even going over then. It was probably going to land in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Then you try and give it a little bit more loft and the wind would blow it up, and then just give this guy who was like 6'4", 6'5" in height, just crushing overhead.
Nuking overheads.
Like Mia, this guy's hitting overhead so hard that Mia is at the baseline and gets bagged with an overhead.
Off the bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. So long story short, we're up 10-3. It's now 10-11. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Now at 10-11, it starts raining.
Yep.
But it's not raining so hard that you would call the match. It was enough to, like, you see it on the ground and you're like, should we still be playing?
We could be playing, but also if you stopped, I think everyone would probably usually be fine with it.
So here was my train of thought for that part of the match. I was like, look, if this gets so wet that it's actually, like, I feel genuinely unsafe, I'll call it. But otherwise, I'm not calling it until they call it because I'm like, this match is so close that I would rather finish it and lose so I can leave the tournament or win and know that I'm going to stay around for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
I don't want this weird middle ground of, hey, we're going to have a rain delay and then we're going to come back. I'd rather just finish it.
Yep.
And so they were kind of looking at the weather and, you know, going, I don't know, but they still kept playing. So I was like, I'm going to keep going then. And my personal guess as to what happened was that I think the conditions started bothering them a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And it just made them miss a couple easy balls and then it kind of spiraled because I think we just went on straight and won from there. There was maybe a couple side outs in there. But yeah, the weather conditions were bad. I mean, I think there's literally a clip on my GoPro of the rain blowing sideways while we're playing the match.
Yeah.
It's insane. It was a joke.
It was the worst weather experience possible.
Yeah, it was not good. No one in that match had a fun time. Not a single person on that court had any amount of fun in their
I don't
body.
think anyone wanted to be there.
No, it was really rough. So yeah, that was kind of nuts. Really, really bad weather. So, okay, that's the second match. Now, here's the thing. We dropped, okay, so because of the weather, and I think flights getting delayed, I think there were people who didn't fly in, or there were people who decided to fly out early and not play mixed because of how bad the weather was supposed to be. So in the quarterfinals, I'd have to go back and look at this. I believe it basically 5 to 6 teams dropped out of the tournament. They just didn't show up to play at all. So they all forfeited. So that meant
An already small bracket.
yeah, we had 12 teams.
Yeah.
I think. So basically half the bracket withdrew. So that meant after we won our first round backdraw match, all the people who forfeited went down into the backdraw. And there were so many of those that me and I went from the first backdraw match all the way to bronze.
Yeah.
I get a text from my wife, Sarah, and she's like, hey, congrats on bronze or getting to bronze. And I said, what?
What are you talking about?
How are we in
I just
bronze?
won one backdraw match.
Yeah. So I pulled up and I went, holy cow, we actually are in bronze.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was exciting in the sense that, hey, we're up for bronze, but also looking at the bracket, you're going, I didn't really play.
You win one match, forfeit.
But the team that won gold of this tournament, the same thing happened to them, but for gold.
Mhm.
I think they had to play in the round of 16. They won that and then went straight to gold.
Yeah.
Because so many teams dropped out.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was insane. So anyways, bronze, I don't really have a lot of stories from this. We ended up winning in 2 games. It was 11-9, 12-10. There were some good comebacks in there. I think it was a good match overall.
Guy you were playing against started cramping.
Yeah, so that was tough for him. But yeah,
Overall solid play.
overall, yeah, pretty good.
Weather didn't seem to impact that one too bad. I mean, the weather was bad constantly overall, but considering what you had just come from, it was great conditions.
Yeah, we got the best courts, and I think Mia kind of put it the best way when talking about it, which was that if you were playing pickleball in, let's just say indoors, and suddenly that weather came in, you would have a hard time playing. But because we had just come from playing in a tornado, this weather suddenly felt as if you could play pickleball normal.
Yeah.
So I would say was a factor a little bit. Maybe some shots were just kind of catch you off guard, but I would say 90% skill, 10% weather is probably how I would have put that last match. I did get my first ever warning from a ref. I got a ball abuse warning.
That was so funny.
So this is funny because, so basically I hit an overhead, they get it back. I go to hit another head and I shank it and I hit it out. And they had hit the ball back already. And so in my mind, I went, okay, I'm going to hit another overhead just to prove to myself that I know how to hit an overhead and I can put it in the court.
Yeah.
Now, so I hit an overhead and then I start walking back to the baseline. Now, it is funny watching the video back because I will admit, I look pretty pissed.
And I get it in your mind. I understand your thought process. And I mean, I don't think you should have gotten a warning for this. I think that's kind of silly. But watching you did look so pissed off, and you hit it like away from them, like into the corner.
Yeah.
And so I get it, but also I think it's kind of silly.
I mean, I thought it was warranted. But what's funny is I hear the ref say ball abuse warning, and I kind of looked at him and I laughed and I went, yeah, that's fair. But I was like, just so you know, I wasn't trying to abuse the ball. I was just making sure I knew how to hit an overhead. But, it didn't matter. He wasn't going to change his stance. But it was just funny to me because I was caught so off guard that it made me laugh because I went, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But it was actually supposed to be practice.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of funny. But, so, okay, getting bronze. Look, I'm happy I left with a medal. It's my first, technically, PPA 5.0 medal that I've ever got. But what I will say is, it does not feel earned. It does not feel like I won a true 5.0 bracket.
I feel like we need to take that and put it in a case and put a lock on it. And then once you get a 5.0 medal where you actually have to go through a bunch of matches, then you can unlock that and take it back. But for now, lock and sealed.
I agree. So, yeah, I mean, going 2-1 and winning a bronze, you're kind of going,
really?
Didn't really win that.
Yeah.
But then I guess, if you look at the people that won gold, they played 2 matches and got gold. So
yeah. Overall, the whole tournament was just odd.
Yeah, it was a very, I would say, just strange conditions. It was really a battle of who could handle it better. I mean, if I look at our second match, I forgot to talk about this, the one that was really bad wind. The way I would describe it to people is that it felt the best way to play was that game, every point was ending within 4 balls.
Yeah.
It was either ending on the serve, ending on the return, or you were driving a third and they missed their fourth.
Yep.
There was no strategy in the second half of the game other than that.
The conditions only get better moving forward with this series.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Maybe we have an actual tornado next time. We do have a couple Florida tournaments.
That's true. Florida could throw a wrench in some things. But Vegas and Texas,
Those should be fine.
Texas, you've had some pretty bad weather experiences at PPAs in Texas.
Yeah.
So
fingers crossed it's not actually worse.
fingers crossed.
So yeah, cool that we got bronze, but it
Doesn't feel like you got bronze.
no, doesn't really feel like it.
And your duper overall went down.
Yeah, I'm at 461 right now. Now hopefully.
What was it going into the tournament? 4-7-3. 4-7-3.
I do think that once that match is dropped, that I think I'm going to go right back to where I was because I dropped 0.12 and the duper that I ended at is 0.12 less.
Yeah.
So I think as soon as it's dropped, I think I broke even.
Yeah. So basically, is this series really chasing 5-0 or racing to 4-5?
But definitely not racing to 4-5.
Because you could be having a pretty good competition with Paul Lee right now.
Nope. Nope. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not going to go as low as Paul, I hope.
I
no
hope.
offense, Paul. I love you. You make great
Paul's
videos.
the best. We love you, Paul, but your duper's wrong.
Yeah. So, and then I will say, I do have to get, I know PPA gets a lot of hate for a lot of things they do, but I have to give them huge props for this because I think that it would have been, even though it wasn't raining for a decent chunk of that day, I do believe that it would have been more than reasonable to say, yeah, we're not doing this.
100%.
I think they could have, and maybe even should have, canceled it. But the fact that they sat through that entire day to make sure the amateurs got to play, I do think that's really impressive.
We're able to facilitate and manage it working out.
I'm sure they all had it. The organizers had to have had a terrible day.
The shout out to the refs, the organizers, everyone there. No one wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Then the fact they still put it on, I give them props where props is due.
Yeah, that was definitely warranted. I think
Matt Mayfield is the guy that manages all the amateur stuff and runs everything. Great job. Shout out to you.
Yeah, for sure. Completely agree. But overall, I would say one thing with just the group we had that I was I think really proud of or happy with was just everyone's ability to keep such a positive attitude despite so many things going terrible on this trip. Yeah. Because the weather's terrible, people's flights are getting delayed, Mia's getting sick. It was a recipe for everyone in our group to just be angry, and everyone had a great time.
Yeah.
Everyone was in a great mood. I guess we can just tell this story quick.
Oh,
you ended up in the emergency room on the last day after the mixed tournament.
After the mixed tournament, we went and got dinner, and then we were eating, and then we were bringing Matt back to the airport, and then we dropped him off. We're driving back to the Airbnb. Everything's fine. My wisdom tooth started killing me. So my wisdom teeth all grew in perfectly straight. They're all fine. And I'd gone to the dentist, and I had an issue where my back upper right molar or wisdom tooth had cracked in half and was missing a big chunk of it. And now I get it. I should have taken care of this a long time ago, but I love to procrastinate and just put things off. And it wasn't bothering me. So I just put it off. And recently it kind of started to bother me, just taking some Tylenol. It would go on and off and whatever. It wasn't that bad. It would hurt, but it wasn't that bad. On that drive back to the Airbnb, I was losing my mind. I felt like my head was being crushed. I could not, half my face was in so much pain because it just started, I felt like I was being kicked in the side of the head. So I practically couldn't control my body. And as a group, just collectively decided, all right, bringing you to the ER.
So we brought you to a Walgreens because you're like, look, there's a gel here that I think will kind of numb this. We bought that, and then you were putting it on, and I started driving. And at this point, you were like, look, I'm good. And I just started driving. I didn't even say anything. I
knew that's what you were doing too.
I was just going to the emergency room because it was like, if this doesn't work, I am not driving 20 minutes back and then 20 minutes. We're just going to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I had no faith this gel was going to work. The amount of pain you were in, I said, there's no way.
Yeah, that was kind of rough. So took a nice little detour to the ER, and they gave me some drugs, got me drugged up, and held me off till we got back into town. They gave me a prescription for some antibiotics, took that, and then I think mentioned it earlier in the pod. Had my nice oral surgeon appointment earlier in the week and took care of everything. So now I've got a nice gaping hole in the side of my head, and I've been eating soft foods for the last 2-3 days. And let me tell you, I hate it.
So let me get this straight. So men's partner gets in super late. Miss our bracket. Mixed partner gets sick. Wind is awful on mixed day. You end up in the emergency room. Like, I don't know that this trip could have got much worse.
Everything that could have gone bad went bad.
Yeah. So
it was insane.
That's why I was just very impressed with everyone's ability to still have a great time.
Yeah.
It was
a fun trip. Great group of people. Yep. Like, we had a lot of good laughs. We had a nice late night Taco Bell run. Like, it was just overall fun. So it's if the worst conditions possible for a trip and we still had fun, I look forward to the next,
good trips.
The good trips. Yeah, the moving forward next events. And I'm definitely looking forward to Vegas because I get to leave early, playing the qualifier. I'm going to mess some people up. It's going to be good.
We'll see. So I got a couple funny stories before we wrap this up. Yeah. I guess we can consider these funny stories the kitchen.
Actually, real quick, before we get into those, I just want to throw something out. We talked about this a while ago on a pod, and it's kind of gone dormant, but we have this side group of people where we do this pick'em, okay, for the PPA, these brackets. Basically, if you don't know what that is, it's basically we just have the men's, women's, singles, mix, all the different pro brackets. And then we go through the bracket and guess who's going to win. Let me just tell you, right now, I'm kind of the GOAT at this thing, all right? And PB Studio is wrecking house. All right, I'm putting you on my back and carrying, but we are messing people up.
Team Pickleball Studio is currently a number 1 for the pro picks. However, I guarantee you, now that he just said that for Vegas, we're dropping straight to the bottom. I will bet you, with this a big group chat with all the people who are in this, I guarantee you that at the end of Vegas, we're gonna drop so much that everyone is going to roast us.
Everyone's going to clip it. Look.
Please don't. I didn't say it. Isaac said
when they used wood paddles, I predicted it extremely well. And I think I was second overall. And then this week, I was second overall again. But somehow now I'm like first overall over the existing tournaments. And then as a podcast, because it's us, a couple other podcasts, and some random people mixed in. We're leading the pack right now. So I just had to throw that out there because who would have thought that you and I would be good at picking?
I definitely did not think. I mean, here's the thing. I know enough pro to think I wouldn't be terrible at it, but I figured I'd be middle of the
pack. I do
pack.
watch it quite a bit. So, and I do follow it fairly closely. So I guess I'm not that surprised, but at the same time, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
So I just had to throw that out there real quick. I'm sure not many people care, but I care.
Fair enough. Okay, I've got some funny stories just from this tournament.
Yeah.
These were just amusing to me. So first of all, men's day. Mixed partner and her husband, they didn't come to the airport with us to get my men's partner, Matt, because they were just tired. I said, that's fine. Just Uber over. It's 5 minutes.
Yep.
And so we get to the venue and we go through the registration desk. And on the outside fence, like they're coming through the registration desk, I see 2 people waving at us. And, we wave back. I just assumed someone recognized us from like 50 feet away, I don't know. It was quite a ways.
Yeah.
I could not tell who it was. I went back, smiled, said, hey,
how you doing?
And then I looked at you and I said, dude, I am so impressed by people's ability to recognize us from so far away with our backs.
For context, we got there Friday evening and we just started scouting out some of the courts. And
it's dark.
It's dark out. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of light, but it's hard to recognize people. Now, granted, there's no one on the courts, and you see 2 guys walking around courts, setting up cameras and kind of testing stuff. So that kind of gives it away. But we just had a bunch of people as they're leaving the venue. Hey, Chris. Hey, Isaac. Love the pod. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was like, I don't know. There was one guy who did it, then another. So there's a few people who shouted us out and said hi. So we're like, geez, this is crazy. How are they able to see us from that far away? Then,
then on the men's day, people are waving at us, and then I looked at you and I was like, dude, I just don't understand how people can recognize us from so far away. I'm like, especially with our backs turned. And then you looked at me and you're like, dude, that's your mixed partner and her husband. And I was like, oh. For those of you who don't know, my vision is really bad. My prescription for my left eye is -12, and then my right eye is -6.
Legally blind in his left eye.
In his left eye, yeah. So I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh, that's how they knew it was us.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Now, unfortunately, I did get permission to tell this story. We got a roast. I got a roast for my mixed partner here. This is pretty bad. So the day of mixed, we both woke up, we're getting ready, and she's like, I need some coffee. There's a coffee thing in the Airbnb. She's like, okay, I got to boil some water. So she gets a pot, fills it with water, puts it on the stove. It's like an induction stove. And she turns it on. We're talking for like 10 minutes. She turns around and looks at it, and I'm like, is that still not? I'm like, that should definitely be boiling by now. It's like, why is that not boiling? And then she's like, I don't know what's up with it. She like looks at the stove, messes with it a little bit, and she's like, I don't know. I'm going to go get my phone and like look this up. I was like, she goes upstairs. I go over to the stove and I look at it, and I'm like, this can't be that hard to figure out. I look at it and I'm like, look back. I like look upstairs. Like she can't see me. I'm like looking upstairs. Like I'm like, there's no way she couldn't figure this out. And I look back at it. And I'm like, am I stupid? I'm like, it can't be this easy. And I literally, she had it set to literally as low of heat as you could possibly go. Like this is probably not even going to turn the water lukewarm. And so I just take the dial and I turn it up to high. The stove says high. It starts immediately turning red. And I just go sit back in the chair and I wait for her to come back down. And I go, I figured it out. I'm just going to let you figure out what was wrong with it. Something along those lines. And I walked back over and was like, Mia, you just didn't turn it on, basically.
I just remember waking up and going upstairs and hearing like from distance as I'm going up the stairs, like, I'm going to ask Isaac and see if he can figure this out. And then sure enough, you're like, I have a test for you. And you're like, turn this on to high. Okay. Click. And you're like, yep.
It was so funny. It was because it was one of those moments where like everyone on this trip is an intelligent person.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those like rare misses in life where you miss something so easy that I was like, we are not letting this go. This is way too funny. So the whole weekend we just kept roasting her about that, which is pretty funny. You got recognized in the airport, not even by someone who knew the YouTube channel.
Exactly. That's what's crazy is like, okay, so we had a layover. We fly into Atlanta and then we had like an hour to wait and then it got delayed. So I'm like taking a nap. I'm laying there and then time goes by. You said you were going to go get us some food. It's like, okay, cool. I'm kind of eating, finishing up my food. And then this guy, as I'm like laying there, really tired, kind of looking at my phone, and he's just like, I'm sitting down, and he just stands right next to me, standing above me. And I'm like, huh? And he goes, do you play pickleball? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, cool. We started talking. And then I was like, how did you know? Usually it's just
he
like,
didn't say he knew you from a channel.
Exactly. He didn't say like, usually it's people like, hey, love your content, or like, hey, keep up the great work, stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, I know you know me through our podcast or through our content. But he didn't say any of that. He just said, you must play pickleball. And I was like, how does this guy know that? So then I asked, I was like, well, how did you know I played pickleball? He goes, well, I saw your shoes. And I was wearing the Selkirk Court Strike shoes.
Yeah.
And I just wore them throughout the whole trip because the regular Court Strikes are really padded and pretty comfortable as just day-to-day shoes, but then also they're court shoes. So if I was going to just like hop in for a rec game, I didn't want to have two pairs of shoes with me. And I was like, that makes sense. So he knew the Selkirk brand. He started asking me. We started talking about pickleball here and there. And then he's like, what's your duper? He's like, are you good? And I go, well, mine's like 5'1", and his, and by his, I mean, I was pointing at you, is like 4'6" or 4'7". He goes, so you're like a pro. You're really good. And I was like, well, working on it, getting there. And we just went on. I just thought it was a really funny interaction. I was like shocked to get recognized by, of all things, shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's just some funny, quick stories from the tournament there. Overall, great time. Really looking forward to Vegas this coming week.
But also just side note, shout out to everybody who came up to us at the event, said hi. You know, we had a bunch of people come over and watch your matches. Actually, one more really funny story. This is probably the best story.
This was the best story.
You have your first match of the day. Men's day. And you're kind of finishing up. And as it's getting close to the end of the match, I'm filming, and this lady comes running up to me. And she's like, oh my gosh, Isaac, nice to meet you. I had to come over, and I saw Chris was on court. I had to come watch. She goes, I was sitting on my phone. I was on center court, and I saw Chris was playing. And I said, screw CJ Klinger. I got to go watch Chris. And left center court to come over to these crappy backcourts to come watch you play. And it was awesome. So shout out. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Shout out to you. That was a really fun, cool experience. It was nice to meet you. It was nice to meet everybody at the event. Everyone who came up, said hi. Everyone who watched your matches. Like, it's really cool. It means a lot to us. Like, it helps us, keep doing what we're doing.
It was very funny because I'm sitting there going, dude, in no world is my match more worth watching than whatever was on center court. You could have put the juniors on center court and that still would have been more entertaining than my match.
Yeah.
Like the juniors are kind of fun to watch just because some of these kids are crazy.
Dude, some of these kids are just kind of goated.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So anyways, that's what we got for you guys this week. Thanks.
What's the word of the week? Weather.
Weather.
Weather is the word of the week.
Wind. No, wind.
Wind.
There we go. Wind. Yeah.
So if you made it to the end of the pod, comment wind. And it's just insane.
So, all right. Thanks, guys. Catch you in the next one.